Thanks for tuning in to Create2Game, where we connect creators in gaming. I'm Moogli, and this week I wanted to share 3 of my favorite games that I can play over and over again. First, I want to start with the Cube Escape series by Rusty Lake. These are puzzle games that tell a complete story throughout all of the games in the series. The storyline follows Detective Dale Vandermeer as he investigates the death of Laura Vanderboom. The timeline in the games span decades, so if you're into lore, you can trace back the family lineage of the characters and figure out how they inspire events in future games even after their death. The art style has been described as surrealist, and the games themselves are very eerie. There's something dark to them without them being considered horror games. For instance, in the most recent game, there's one part where you have to make a baby poop her diaper. It's weird and uncomfortable. A lot of the games have like very creepy things, or like if you click on a hand, it'll come back with a pair of scissors. It'd just be super creepy. And there's another part, for example, that I remember where you slice up one of the characters to make an actual Bloody Mary. So it's really dark, but it's not considered a horror game, I don't think. It's more just like puzzle games with like a weird twist to them. The premise is pretty much an escape room game, but there's no time limit to complete them, so you can take your time exploring the rooms and kind of getting all the lore pieces together until you build the entire world out. There are 9 games in the main Cube Escape series and a handful of other games that have the same premise and lore. The most recent being Underground Blossom, which I actually played on stream the day it came out. There's also a co-op game that came out a few years ago called The Past Within. That one is really fun too. I played it with one of my friends when it first came out. We played it in the dark and it was really scary, especially with both of our headphones on. All we could hear was each other and the weird game sounds. The games are fun though, because if you give it some time in between each of the playthroughs that you do, I personally can play them over and over again, and I don't remember all of the puzzles. I have kind of an idea of how the creators make the games and where you're supposed to click and what type of thing they're looking for, but I never remember every single puzzle, so I can play the games over and over again, especially if I give it plenty of time in between the games. And because there are so many of them, you can just pick one up and start playing. You'll probably forget everything that happens, then you can play it again later. The games are available on Steam and mobile, so I used to actually play them on my phone during long commutes. Most of the games are free on your phone, if not only a couple of dollars. The Cube Escape collection is only $5 on Steam as well for all the games in that series, and they always go on sale. All of the other games that aren't in the main Cube Escape series are usually anywhere from free to $5 if you want to get them on Steam. It's a really good deal, and for the length of the game and the amount of puzzles and just the background on the story, it's a really good deal to me. What's cool about Rusty Lake as a studio is that they're always creating interactive things outside of the games as well that players can try to solve in real time. For instance, there might be a website listed in one of the games, but if you type in the website into your browser, it's actually a website that you can go to and visit and mess around with and get some more backstory. The puzzles there are typically a bit harder than the ones in the game as well, so it gives you something to do in between playthroughs. If you follow Rusty Lake on Instagram, they also occasionally post live puzzles that you can solve there too, and it enters you into giveaways. The entire series is really well done and very interactive, and I'm so happy that they're doing well because it's an independent game company, and they've just come so far over the years, and it's really cool to see more people playing their games. Next up, I want to talk about Animal Crossing. This wholesome game has been one of my favorites ever since its release in 2001. This cozy life simulator lets you make friends, clean up the town, collect items, and decorate your own place, which I loved as a kid and still enjoy playing to this day. Through the years, I never owned my own console that had Animal Crossing, so I was forced to play it sporadically at friends' houses whenever I got the chance, but I always loved it. Even when the Nintendo Switch came out, I didn't get it right away, so I found an old Nintendo DS and played Animal Crossing New Leaf over and over again to satisfy my craving, and that's what I had to do in the meantime until I finally got my own Switch, and I was not ready for the epic experience that was Animal Crossing New Horizons. It was so much better than any of the other games previously, so it blew my mind. First off, you can terraform, which I thought was so cool because you could customize everything. I just love the customization. I love getting all the furniture items in one set. There's something so satisfying about that, but now you can make the entire island look pretty much however you want it to look and design it to be a world of your own creation. You can also go online and get patterns from other people. So in the previous games, you could design your own patterns, but I wasn't very good at that, or maybe just not very creative either. Some people go all out and make amazing designs. So I've been going online, getting patterns from other people. So the patterns range from anything to what the floor pattern might look like, so tiles, pathways outside, to actual outfits, so you can wear really cute things. My villager is always in cosplay, so I get some cosplays from my favorite anime characters and have my villager look like them. It's so cute. You can also visit people's islands when your character is asleep during a dream tour, so these people have a code out there and want other people to come for the sake of visiting their island, and you can go around and visit, but you won't mess up anything that's in their actual island. So it's pretty much just a tour. They don't have to be there showing you around. You can't accidentally take some of their items. It's just for the sake of viewing their island and seeing how cool and creatively they decorated it. I've seen plenty of beautiful islands too, and it gave me some ideas for my own. For example, I've seen a lot of Japanese cityscapes, which is what I tried to theme my island after. It looks pretty cute. It's not as cool as some of the ones that I've seen, but they're so beautiful. If you go on YouTube, you can find a whole bunch of Japanese cityscapes. I've also seen some Disneyland themed ones, which are really cool. Some cottagecore islands. I always see cottagecore islands and they're awesome. And even some Mario Party themed islands, which is kind of easy to do with all the Nintendo items that you can get in Animal Crossing New Horizons. The sky is truly the limit on how creative you can get with the designs. A few of the things I'm proud of in particular from my island are the Cinema Roll Cafe, my Japanese restaurant, and a little festival area that I have. The festival area in particular has booths where you can buy food items, visit some shops, and even visit a maid cafe. Just made it personalized to myself and my taste and what I would do if I had a whole island to myself. I can't express enough how shocked I was at how much the game series developed over time, especially since I had been playing New Leaf until I finally bought New Horizons in December of 2020, which was a little bit after the game came out. Before I got the Switch, I had also been playing Animal Crossing Pocket Camp on my phone, and I was super underwhelmed by that, but New Horizons really blew it out of the water. Animal Crossing is so incredibly nostalgic to me as a whole, and I think it always will be. Now, for those hardcore AC fans, you might have seen that on the calendar for New Horizons, it only goes up to December 31st of 2060, which genuinely bummed me out, because to think that I wouldn't be able to play the game live as a 66-year-old really got to me. I was rethinking some of my life choices, and it served as a reminder for me to not take the game for granted because it wouldn't always be updated. And then Nintendo announced that there would be a new Animal Crossing game. This would be released for the Switch too, and it'll probably be out in 2025 or 2026. I'm super looking forward to it. It seems like there are going to be even more new updates, a lot of other things that you can do. For example, there are rumors that there will be drivable vehicles, there will be a whole bunch more mini games, and there will be a more expansive co-op option, which is cool because as much as you can play co-op right now, I don't like it. It takes a while to load and there's not really much you can do with your friends. We've played hide and seek before, but usually it's just come to my island and buy things, or here, let me gift you some things. I'm very curious to see how they'll introduce new co-op options into the latest game. Thinking back to how basic the original Animal Crossing games were and yet still so enjoyable, I really can't believe how far the series has come overall, and I think this is one of the few games I'll play until I'm old and gray. The last game that I can play over and over again is Super Mario Land 2: 6 Golden Coins. Some of you may have seen that I recently played this on stream. Despite it just being awesome in general because it's a Mario game, this was one of my favorites as a kid. I'd play it on repeat during road trips or just during my downtime. And I recently picked it up again when I noticed that you can play it as part of Nintendo Switch Online. I wanted to see if it was as challenging as I remembered it being when I was a kid, and it's still pretty playable. It's not so easy that I'm flying through it now, but it just there are so many options and flexibility. So you could either just sprint through it as fast as you can try to collect all the coins. There are secret areas that you have to unlock where there are even more coins and hidden objects. So I think depending on your play style, you could just see how fast you can run through all the levels, or if you want to be more challenging, you can try to take different paths every time you die or try to collect all the coins. I'm just really glad that I was able to get this on Switch because I still have my original cartridge and my Game Boy, but the battery would always fall out of the Game Boy, the back that like holds the batteries in, and the batteries would fall out. I'd have to restart the game. Don't even get me started on blowing into the cartridge. I'm just glad I can play this on Switch, so I'll keep my original game just like as a historic relic, and now I can play it on Switch with no save data issues or whatever. So those are a few of my favorite games that I could play nonstop that I've gone back to through the years and been able to play. Some honorable mentions for me are the We Were Here series, which is a co-op puzzle game. I haven't played those in a while, but they're pretty fun. Some of them were kind of hard and kind of spooky, which is why I didn't have it on the top of my list. I think just the level of difficulty is a little hard, but that's another fun one. I also really like Dead by Daylight, which I also haven't played in a while, but I feel like it's a fun game where you can just hop in again randomly and pick it up, and there isn't as much pressure as like hopping back into, say, a game of League or something. Slime Rancher is a cute fun game where you explore slime behavior on another planet, and you can keep them in a little farm and breed them to have different types of slimes. The game does get a bit creepy though when the evil slimes pop up and you try to avoid those. I'm pretty sure they eat you, so it's a little creepy too. I have a very low threshold for what I think is creepy and scary in games. I'm sure most of you will be fine, but I just get creeped out by everything. Surprisingly, I also went back to playing Disney Dreamlight Valley. At first, I wasn't a huge fan of the game, but I think there had been an update or two since I had last played when it first came out, and the updates made it a lot more user-friendly. So the difficulty's a little easier. I feel like now instead of just grinding, I could focus on customization and finishing quests, so that's helpful. I like how you could teleport to different places on the map instead of like having to walk there, since the map does get pretty big. Finally, I really like the Room series, which is another puzzle game. I'm sure you guys can tell I love my puzzle games. The Room's really good at making me feel dumb trying to figure out the puzzles, especially while I'm streaming because the pressure's on, but as soon as I solve a puzzle, I feel super successful, feels so good, I feel amazingly smart, until I have to solve another puzzle right after, and I'm stuck there for another 20 minutes. But either way, those are some of the other games that I've been enjoying. We have a few upcoming releases this week. Art of Charon and Once Human will be out on PC on July 9th. Lifeless Moon will be out on PS4 and 5, and Xbox One and XS on July 9th. Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown will be out on Switch on July 11th, and Angerfoot will be out on PC on July 11th. Disney's Speedstorm will release on mobile on July 11th. Dros will be out on Switch on July 12th. Wastelander will be out on PC on July 12th. Supernatural will release for PC on July 15th, and finally, Darkest Dungeon 2 will be out on PS4 and 5 and Switch on July 15th. Thanks for tuning in to Create2Game. That wraps it up for this week's episode. You can find me on Valkence Social at Moogli, and if you want to sign up, go to social.valkence.com. You can also find me on all other social media channels at Moogli. Be sure to head to valkence.com for updates on all of our other podcasts, latest news, and more from the Valkence family. See you next time!